Okay, so if we sell pizzas for $1.99, our business variable costs are 60% of the selling price, and we have fixed costs of $21,000 each month. Can you determine how many pizzas we have to sell to break even? Ignore taxes and show your work. All right, so let's start off by putting in some information here. The selling price, I'll make this a little bit bigger here. The selling price is $11.99 each, right? And variable costs are 60% of the selling price. So if we take that $11.99 times 60%, we come up with $7,194. Now, maybe we should make this even. Okay, so what that means is we can calculate contribution margin by taking the $11.99 and subtracting the variable cost. Okay, and we could calculate the contribution margin percentage too. And the contribution margin percentage would be the 480 divided by the $11.99. I'm going to put a dollar sign on that so we know that these are numbers and that that's a percent. Right? Now it's decimal point wasn't needed. Now you really didn't have to calculate contribution margin because variable price is 100%, variable cost are 60%, so the contribution margin would be 100% less 60% or 40%, but I thought I would put that out there. And then we know that fixed costs are equal to $21,000. Okay? And I'm going to put this in italics since that's really not part of the calculation. Now, what I would do is probably put this under per unit, and this would be under a column of total. And move this over. So let me just copy that over. Make that a little bit large enough so we can see it. Spell total correctly. All right, and so then you want to know, well, what's the break-even formula? And break-even is always equal to fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit. Well, I'll just say contribution margin, or contribution margin percentage. If you use percentage, sales come back in dollars. If you use contribution margin per unit, sales will come back in units. So if we wanted to calculate it for units, we would just take the fixed cost of $21,000 and divide it by the contribution margin per unit, and we come up with about 4,379 units. Now, to test this, to make sure that's right, let's calculate it. So let's actually put the income statement together. We'll take 4378.65 and we'll multiply it times the selling price. Okay, so that's going to come up to 52,500. This time I'll just do it in whole dollars. Okay, a variable cost would be 60% of that. We don't even have to fill this out. You could go right to contribution margin because contribution margin is going to be 52.5 times the 40%, right? And since fixed costs are $21,000, if you were to calculate operating income, you would get break even. Okay, so that's one way to solve this. And by the way, let's format this a little bit better. Put a comma, no decimal places, and then it looks correct. Now, if instead you wanted to calculate this with break even in dollars, this one was break even in units, right? You would just take the fixed cost again, which we were given as 21,000, and you divide it by the contribution margin percentage, which is 40%. When I do that, you get sales of 52.5, and since that number there matches that number there, we knew we did this one correctly. So now if you get a partial unit, I would probably round. I would probably say we'll break even 4378.65. I would just reduce the decimal point so that it rounds to 4379, and that's close enough. Okay, hope that was helpful.